Okay, welcome back to the Tuesday show. As you can see now on the right here, we're going to talk about the whole YouPorn thing that's been going on. It's been going. It's not really like going on.
Right.
People have been talking about it. So YouPorn, a porn website, and member of the. I forget which one owns like the whole thing, but there's some company that owns like all the porn sites.
Okay.
Like all the ones that you like think about. Like it's crazy.
Okay.
But anyway, it's owned by them. And they, a while back, were thinking about doing an esports team.
Right. They had expressed some interest in sponsoring like a League of Legends team, for example.
Right. League, Dota, Counter-Strike, and...
apparently the people who own it are like huge game fans or something like that. Yeah, so I think that's why they want to get in,
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. As far as the Riot thing goes, the League of Legends thing goes, apparently Riot wasn't thrilled to have them as a sponsor.
Right, and which makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does make sense. But, so they're thinking about doing other things, and they had a little blog post where they were talking about how they're trying to look into how to do it. Obviously they're accustomed to perceptions of their work being less than positive, but still making good ads and having sponsors and all that stuff. So they're trying to work it out. They're trying to make it like less obvious that it's a porn sponsorship or something. Something to that effect.
So I was actually having a discussion with Gent, Jonathan Radaha, about this. And we were talking about it a little bit. And what's really interesting to me is that, obviously we had the Brazzers thing a long time ago, how they were, we wanted to get L.I. Joe sponsored by Brazzers or Dr. Sub-Zero or whatever like that, right? That was obviously one of those things where it was like they wanted to use it just to gain, like, publicity or whatever like that. In this particular case, it's interesting to me because it sounds like the owners of the company are more just interested in having an esports team than it is trying to get publicity for what it is that they do, right?
Could be.
So, I mean, let's face it, like Viagra, for example, they sponsor NASCAR. You see Viagra written on the hood of cars and stuff like that, right? The thing about it is they never really talk about it, right, or anything like that. So, like me and Gent were talking about it, maybe like they could just have YP, in front of everyone's name. And frankly, that's all they need to do. Like they never need to talk about that they're sponsoring or whatever like that, because if someone wants to know what that stands for and they find out, I mean, the way that I joked to John about it was like, they're the perfect thing because like if you do research and you're like, oh, this is interesting, I want to do more research on this. Like that's like. Normally you'd see like, oh, this is their sponsor, I'm not interested. But I mean, come on, they're a porn site, right?
Okay.
So if they don't say anything and people do the research themselves, I mean, let's face it, that could work great for them.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm not necessarily opposed to it, to having them sponsor things in fighting games or in whatever games. But there's some concerns.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the three that I feel are the most legit. I'm not interested in like the morality of it or whatever.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that.
Interesting. Okay.
Only as it affects the more practical side of things. So would game developers and publishers be okay with having their game be associated with YouPorn?
Right.
Riot wasn't. Okay. And it doesn't seem likely to me that Nintendo would be.
I mean, Riot was mad when you guys were making too much noise.
Right? Yeah. Riot was easily offended. No, but I think that's legit. They don't want to have that association. I understand that. Like I said, I think that Nintendo would not be happy to see like a Smash player be like YouPorn, whatever, right? Like, I don't think that will work out. Even if it were just YP, I really don't think that Nintendo would have you. And that's a big issue because whoever owns the copyrights on the games that we play, publishers or developers, they basically have all the cards in their pocket. They have total control over what we do. They have the ability to shut down one stream and not others. They have the ability to shut down all streams or all tournaments or all events or all public uses of their game, YouTube videos and the like. So they have total control when it comes to that stuff, and so they get to decide, who is associated with their games. I mean, maybe that sucks, but that's what the law allows them to do. And so like I said, Riot declined to have them involved, and they can enforce that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a factor that a lot of people don't take into account. You know, like the Smash community, for example, like the Melee players getting mad at Smash 4 or talking smack about Smash 4. Like, if I was a Melee player, I would be pushing Smash 4 as much as I humanly possibly could, because to have Nintendo's backing for everything, if Nintendo is happy with you, they're not going to stop any Melee streams necessarily, right? So if all of a sudden, like, you're like, I don't want to play Smash 4 because Melee's better, Nintendo can be like, no more Melee streams.
Right. They could.
Yeah, and they can say, you can't even run a tournament. Like
can't do crap.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're completely aware. Like, before they didn't shut down any tournaments, probably because they didn't even know about them, right? Yeah. They're perfectly aware of these events now. So if you make them mad, they could theoretically just, like, go on a vengeance thing and be like, you can't.
I mean, the PR would be disastrous, but they could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it would be disastrous PR if they were to do that because of a porn sponsorship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That's
I think that might be a different story.
For sure.
So then the other thing is, how would other sponsors view this? Would other sponsors be happy to be involved? You know, like would like an Intel sponsored player versus a YouPorn sponsored player, would Intel be happy with having its name associated
even
with
in
that?
The video title or something like that, right?
Right, so. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, these are just concerns. I'm not saying that companies do have a problem. I would want to know these things before, like, bringing YouPorn in. And my guess would be that some would have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, they have, like, so many avenues, right? It's so easy for them probably just to create some other random website or just use their parent company name if it's not a dirty kind of name, right? Unless other people just don't like the association.
Yeah.
Obviously, having the word porn in the name is a problem just inherently, right? So, yeah.
Right. And then I feel like the last concerns are how this would affect players themselves. Young players, you know, would people's parents be happy to have their kids involved in, you know, say parents bring their kid to a tournament, and the tournament and up on this big stage is like YouPorn, whoever versus.
Yeah, I mean, like,
would they be cool with that? I don't know.
Like CJ Truth's dad has always said that he loves the FGC. He loves taking them. I mean, it's like great. He's been taking it. He's at all the events. It's either him or CJ Truth's mom or whatever like that. But if there's all this like YouPorn stuff everywhere, maybe that won't happen anymore. So.
And last week we were talking about Maximilian, and we were saying that one of the things we like about him is that we often see young kids going up to Max at tournaments and asking for autographs and stuff. Much more so than young people have ever approached me or that I've seen have approached you. Exactly. I mean, like young kids, under 10. You know, maybe it's a different story with CJ because he's a teenager. I mean, obviously he's not. I'm sure he's well acquainted with this stuff. But somebody who's under 10, their parents might view the situation differently.
Oh man. The worst joke just came into my head, and
It's up to you. It's up to you, James.
I want to say, especially because he's under Jabali's tutelage, but you know.
I see where you're headed.
Love Jabali. Okay.
And then similar concern for women in the scene.
Yeah.
Would it be confrontational to them to have the sponsor be involved? Would they, be cool with it? I'm not. I mean, look, plenty of women look at porn too. That's not an issue, but how they view it could be different than how a guy would view it. So I don't want to have the fighting game community be any more limiting than it already is. I want it to be less limiting than it currently is.
I mean, let's just put it this way. To be safe, we should probably avoid all avenues of that. You know what I mean? Just in terms of a community that we want to grow and to actually flourish. You know what I mean? So it's probably not a good idea. Especially with everything that's been going on with the gaming community in general, with the whole, misogyny and all this stuff like that. Then all of a sudden to have like porn companies starting to sponsor esports. It just wouldn't be a good look at this point in time.
I mean, Eugene says that Miller Time wants to be sponsored by YouPorn, and that's cool. Like I said, I don't know it to be the case that any of these things are problems. Maybe sponsors don't don't mind it. Maybe developers and publishers don't mind it. Maybe women don't mind it, and parents too. But they're questions that I want to find the answers to. So on Reddit, a couple of women replied to something that I said, and they were kind of in agreement that it might be an issue for them. If Miller Time doesn't agree, then that's totally cool.
Right.
I'm happy to hear that. But what I don't want to do is take the risk that we would alienate all these groups, sponsors, developers, parents, etc., just to get one sponsor.
Yeah.
Even if that sponsor ends up doing great, I feel like we give up more than we would lose, than we would get in having that. A lot of people on Reddit and GAF and stuff are talking about this too, of course, and people make some interesting points about how porn should be viewed. Why is it different for porn to sponsor than it is for Steamco to sponsor? They deal in tobacco, right? Or Budweiser sponsors a lot of stuff. It's alcohol or Viagra, right? It's already involved.
Yeah, exactly.
In some things, why is that different? That's an interesting question, and I kind of sympathize with it. It does seem strange. I agree. And American culture and sex and violence and all that stuff.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's the main thing.
The culture is weird about that for sure. But those are different questions from the practical, how is it now sort of situation. Like I don't care enough, to be frank, about like societal views on porn to like be leading the charge. Like I don't want to be like on the vanguard of that. Like like it's not. It just doesn't matter that much to me. So I would rather stay away from that if it seems like there are problems associated with it. Again, if there are no problems, whatever,
the way that I just feel about it, honestly, is that like something like NASCAR and Viagra, right? NASCAR is just ridiculously gigantic. It's like one of the biggest industries of any sort of competitive of what we call it, vehicle sports.
Motorsports is actually
M sports. Okay, M sports. So it's one of the biggest industries in M sports, right? So they can kind of afford to do something like that and not really have it affect them. I don't think we're at that point yet, despite how big the League of Legends World Finals were just this past weekend. I mean, that thing was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Talking not just about the fighting community, but about competitive games in general. I think you're right. And there's still a big linkage between video games are for younger people and blah blah blah, and having porn involved might look weird. Again, I'm totally cool that if societal views on that stuff change, that would be fine with me. I mean, I don't care. I just feel like if those concerns that I identified are answered in the negative, then I don't want to take the risk of having. That's all. Okay. It's just a practical consideration in my mind.
Cool. Well, I mean, I kind of, mentioned that the League of Legends thing happened this weekend. I'm actually really curious. Did you get to see any of it? What did you think of it?
I watched a lot of it actually. It was late at night American. Well, all American time. I was gonna say Pacific Coast time, but in general for the U.S. it was late. And so I watched a good chunk of it, and I actually told Nothing Excess. I knew he was going to watch the whole thing. I was like, please send me a text like before it ends, because in case I fall asleep, I want to make sure that I get to see like the end. Game. Like I want to see like the award ceremony, all that stuff.
Yeah, gotcha.
From the start, it was like a big production. Like the opening ceremonies were like opening ceremonies. Like they had like drummers, like it was straight up Olympics. And it was they really did, dude. And it's in the big stadium, and not all the seats are filled, but there were 40,000 people there.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people.
So they had Imagine Dragons doing a concert at the
I had never heard of that band before.
You had never heard of the band? Oh my gosh!
I don't know anything, but I've never heard of them. But it was interesting to see.
It was funny because while they were singing, like it didn't look like anybody cared.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But, no, it was very obviously like an endorsement kind of deal. There was they had the interview with what's his name and Jones Face. I don't remember either little guy's name. Before the thing, it was like a lead up in the pre-show, like with that band. They were like interviewing them.
I mean, because they got Imagine Dragons to write that song for League of Legends at one point. I think that's why they were there and stuff like that. But yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't follow music really, to be honest.
Wow, it's very rare that I know more about modern music, but that's only because I've very recently, in like the last 3 years, started listening to the radio. Like I had never listened to the radio up until this point, so it's kind of funny. So
I don't know. When I'm at work, I'm pretty much not listening to music. I'm just listening to like ASMR videos the entire day.
Okay, fair enough.
I have like little things popping in my ears the entire day. Anyway, but so after opening ceremonies, you know. They do a great job when it comes to the production value of it. You know, they had a lot of analysis of it. The whole pregame show was like a half an hour long. It was quite lengthy.
So I mean, it's really interesting because they had two sets of commentators, right? They had the actual match commentators, and then they had the table of the 5 guys who just kind of who just discussed and everything like that, like they do, for example, like when you watch football games or whatever like that and stuff. I mean, what did you think of that setup? Yeah,
I thought that was nice. It was nice because it gives, you know, secondary impressions of the situation. Yeah, I do in fact, Valkyrie on 7. Anyway, yeah, no, it was cool, and I've seen them do that before, and I think that that's a nice touch. It gets more people involved and more viewpoints and more analysis, you know, potential analysis. And some of the people involved were, you know, current or ex-players, and they know a lot about stuff, especially compared to me. So that was was very cool. I liked it.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Because my argument for not joining MLG, for example, you know, this whole time we've been talking about FGC esports, which really isn't much of a thing anymore. But the reason why I talked about it a lot before is because I want to create those roles for a lot of the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So in other words, if someone like, let's just say NuckleDo, like he goes to college and he's just like, you know what, I doesn't play anymore, and then after he's out, he's like, oh, I've lost my touch or whatever like that. He can kind of go that route or something like that. You know, just coaches, analysts, commentators. If you all go under one umbrella, you just don't get that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because like the streamers that we have, the artists like Boss Logic, Seth Mussey, and all these guys like that who are doing it specifically for the fighting game community. You know, if the fighting game community succeeds on its own, that's jobs for all of these guys. Right. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing I'd like to see. I
definitely agree with that. Yeah, it would be great. You know, one of the nice things is that for League is that it's not the kind of thing where like everybody's playing on the same weekend. You know, there's very lengthy staggers. So a couple of the people who they had on that analyst desk were current players, but their teams just didn't make it this far.
Oh, nice.
So they got like a current, like these guys are up on everything. They're like in there, and they got to talk about it, which I thought was very cool. Like for example, how nifty would it be for that kind of situation to be in fighting games and like have Justin Wong, like we're gonna have a Marvel tournament coming up, and it'll be like, Justin, like tell us about how this matchup goes,
because like they do that on inside the NBA, you know, during the playoffs, like when teams get eliminated, all of a sudden one of the guys who's been eliminated shows up at the desk and just starts talking with everybody, right? So
that's exactly what they did. So the games themselves were like the first one was like mega blow up. It was just like super destruction, and I actually fell asleep during the one game that what's her name won, and then I got Andres' text, and I was up for the last game.
Last game was that's the only one that I saw.
Okay,
and it was kind of a blow up too, right? I mean, the team that lost, God, I forgot what their team name was. I'm such a LOL fraud, but I mean they like got the first 2 kills or whatever like that, and then by at one point in the match it was like 15-4 or something like that. So it was pretty much a blow up as well. So
yeah, I mean I'm not qualified to like discuss the match. Like I don't know, I don't remember much about that game really.
Yeah,
but it was very interesting. Well done.
So basically, what was it? Japarican, I guess, kind of brings up what I kind of want to get to. I saw a lot of tweets from FGC people being like, man, like as they were watching, like, man, maybe I played the wrong game, or like, oh, we can get there, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, you know, it's the same thing. And as soon as I started seeing all those, I immediately tweeted out. I was like, look, we can watch this and it's great, but there's only 2 ways we're getting to this point as the FGC, right? It's either hard work for the next many years, or 2, get really freaking lucky through some random occurrence. Like Mark Cuban says, you know what, I like fighting games, psh, money, right? Like, it's one or two ways,
okay,
right? And a lot of people, when they see these kind of things, you know, we're getting a lot of sponsors for Smash players and all these things like that, you know, I don't want people to just be like, let's be like this, you know, let's get 40,000 people stay. Look, we're getting the Warfield and Capcom Cup. That's fantastic. And what we're going to get for this event is going to be great. And we just have to see it that way. Because the problem is a lot of people are going to see it and be like, man, why are we so small compared to League of Legends? You know what I mean? That's not the way to look at it. You have to see this Capcom Cup, for example, happening as, look where we are now compared to where we were before. And we're doing it kind of on our own in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, Capcom USA is helping us, and that's great and everything like that. But think about it. We've done this with like 10 different fighting games from like 16 different companies or whatever. You know, all this stuff. And we've managed to get it this big. And so, you know, I want people to understand that while that's a goal, that's something we want to try to shoot for. One, we might never even get that big, right? And two, it's going to take a lot of work to get there. So I don't want people to feel like what we're doing isn't as good, or, you know, that this is what we hope to get to next year, because it's not going to happen that way.
Next year, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever see it really blowing up in the same way, but certainly I think it'll get bigger than it is. That's been the trend, and I don't really see any reason why that would stop. But yeah, it was awesome. Really happy to see the event. It was just really impressive. Really impressive in general. Like the international was with Dota.
No, Ski actually brings up a good point too, that, you know, we've been having the same conversation for a long time, right? But the interesting part about it is the conversation now looks a lot different than it even was back then. Like 3 years ago, it was just like, right? Like, there would have been no chance for a Capcom Cup to have these Pro Tour points and all these things like that we're kind of doing right now. And now, you know, we're getting these sponsors. Google Chrome is sponsoring, Chromecast is sponsoring, you know, Capcom Pro Tour, stuff like that. We couldn't have done that 3 years ago. Yeah. So it's just that we're always chasing after something like League of Legends, and they keep growing while we're growing, so we always feel like we're in the same spot.
Right. But you're right. Things have definitely changed. There are more people going to events. There are bigger tournaments. There are more games, and there are more games that get, you know, a bigger crowd, and that have more money in them. I mean, it's not just, you know, we were talking about Capcom a lot, but it's not just Capcom. Just recently, for DOA at TFC, there was this gigantic thing with a lot of money involved, and you know, in the past, NRS has done it for Mortal Kombat, and
you know, we keep joking about how Mori went from laughing at Breaker Dave getting destroyed to crying at Evo, and BlazBlue keeps having these patches and stuff like that. As long as the creators of these games see the kind of stuff that's going on, you know, hopefully that spurs them on to do a lot more cool things. Like,
I mean, BlazBlue at Evo had, what was it, $25,000, $30,000 in general.
Like, you probably saw, like, I had a long conversation with Mike Z at Rebel Up, and you probably saw in the Skullgirls patch that he's adding a feature, because I talked to him about that, which was to show the buttons that you've used up in the infinite prevention system, right? Like, I talked about, like, think about how basic this is, but how amazing of an idea would this be that when you're in the Street Fighter training mode, if you're using a charge character, they show you the charge on screen. Like, you just hold down back and you see both meters fill up, and then you throw a sonic boom, and then all of a sudden it, like, drains or whatever. Everyone would understand how to charge moves. Everybody would understand how to charge moves just like that if you just put that in training mode.
That's true.
These are the kind of things that, you know, the developers need to see to make it so that people can get into games a little bit easier and stuff like that. So
I definitely think that part of the barrier, maybe a very significant part of the barrier, is the way that the developers and publishers have supported us in the past. Like I said, things are getting a lot better, and there's a lot money coming in, or a lot more money coming into it. But yeah, I mean, as far as the way that the games are designed, they're not designed in the same way that League or is designed in particular, or that Dota is designed, or even Counter-Strike nowadays. You know, it's not the same kind of thing. So hopefully in the future they do design games in that sort of way. And I'm not saying that they have to design it with like the whole free-to-play sort of model. I'm just saying that they have to make it more accessible in that kind of way. I think that's a great example.
In there. And I'll always say this about League of Legends. Biggest advantage of League of Legends is if I'm a noob I can play with 4 people who know what they're doing and win games.
That's what happened, in fact, when we were playing.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how to solve that in fighting games. I honestly don't, because that's really hard to do. And these days, to be honest with you, like even when I play Street Fighter 4 online, Ultra Street Fighter 4, the average player with really, really low BP or PP points or whatever, like they're really good. Like, relatively speaking to how it was a long time ago.
Okay, that's true.
You know what I mean? Because, like, people throw. Like, I mean,
you're right. Yeah.
You know, when I think like 10 years ago, people wouldn't even throw because it's cheap. Yeah. Why are you so cheap? You know what I'm saying? It's like in terms of that. So if you're a person who really doesn't know what they're doing and you go online and play, you get bopped by even just like the average people.
Right.
Like you get demolished by them, right? And it's just, it feels like there's no hope. Like you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just feel like there needs to be more. I don't know the answer. If I did, I'd probably have already talked to Combo Fiend or somebody and be like, this is what we do. But, you know, hopefully we'll figure something out.
Hopefully, yeah. In any case, I like the direction that things are going. So.
Yeah.
Is that...
I guess we filled out the whole time.
Dude, we really thought that we were going to have to take questions to fill up the time. So this Friday is Beyond Earth, Civilization. Dude, you know what the sad thing is? Is that I'm gonna be. I have stuff this weekend that I like can't get out of. It totally sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably gonna get it like immediately, like at midnight, and just not sleep and you know we'll see what happens.
I've been cracking out on Smash 4. Okay, I am enjoying this so much right now. But I'm not even gonna lie too. Like I'm actually surprised. People that I play online are willing to do long sets.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Like, I played against the Pikachu. We were going, like, 50-50, and we played, like, 8 games. Then I played a Palutena. We were going, like, 50-50. I felt bad because I was the one who left the game because I had to go to sleep. It was, like, 2 a.m. or whatever. Like, I even played against a guy who was clearly better than me. He outclassed me by so much. He was just picking any character and he was blowing me up or whatever like that. But he kept playing.
Yeah, that's the same thing that's happened to me. Where I've had a good hour-long set a couple of times, and one of them was against this player who was way better than me. Like, player was picking whatever character, like doing all this like sick tech, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? But I kept playing because I wanted to learn, and you know, this player was happy to keep playing. That was awesome.
I don't know if they were just like, I'm beating up on the scrub, getting
whatever,
free points,
I'll take
but
it.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. I'm cool with that. So. I will say, though, that when he played me Ness mirror match, I did win.
Nice. There you go. Yes. There you go.
But, dude, I love that character so much.
I know you do.
Oh, my God. It's too much. PK Thunder is, like, so satisfying when I kill people with that move, dude.
Dude, you know what's satisfying? Is the KO punch.
With Ganondorf? Oh, no, with Mac. With Mac. Yeah. I can totally see that.
It freezes time. It freezes the music for a little bit. You just go... was excellent.
Dude, that game, I'm having so much fun for that right now.
Yeah, me too.
I'm having, like...
I really enjoy it.
Uniel and Smash 4 have really kind of reinvigorated my playing fun. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. Like, I tried playing Ultra again online, and like I said, I'm in such character crisis, I couldn't really get into it. But between Uniel and Smash, like, I'm just having a blast playing these games again. So
same kind of thing happened to me last year. It was Injustice that brought me back in.
That's right.
I was playing a lot of like MOBAs, and I was really bored of fighting games for a while. But Injustice brought me back in.
Yeah, it's really sad. I have not, in fact, played any of the Mother games. So I do need to pick up Earthbound on the Wii U because it's on the Virtual Console. Yeah. I never played any of those games, so it's actually I guess I'm a NES fraud.
It's cool. But I thought it was funny that we were talking about Civ, and then you were like, "I've been cracking out on Smash, dude." That's not crack.
No comparison to Civ.
You don't know. No.
So
that's not crack.
What is this, like Civ 6 now or something?
Yeah, I guess it's like technically, or maybe it's technically 7 even.
And so what? Like,
it's just not called that.
You can go into outer space now?
It's an entirely outer space game.
Oh,
really? It starts off like you're picking your like settlers or whatever to like land onto this new planet. So.
Oh, dang! Yeah.
So it's like the things that I like care a lot about. Like one is Civ, just in general. I will play the ass out of that game, just in general. And then it also has space and science fiction, like.
Dude,
I can't. I don't know what to say about that. I was just.
What's actually kind of really...
I have to play it.
What's really cool about that, too, is that they can do all sorts of new things. It's not just like building on the same concept. They could do all sorts of new things.
And apparently they are doing lots of new things.
Yeah.
Like the tech web is like, it's not just a tree anymore. It's like this web that expands out wherever, and they have all these future technologies because it's like in the future.
Yeah. So they could actually be creative and make up whatever they want. Dude, that sounds kind of sick.
Smack Dave says it's Alpha Centauri 2. That's what I was. I feel like this is like the 7th Civ. That's why I was.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. Okay. But they're not saying it's like a sequel to anything.
It sounds fantastic, and I am staying the hell away from it.
You're probably smart.
Because that was the one reason I never got into StarCraft, and also like Magic the Gathering. Because I knew if I got into those, that would be the end of it. Like I just knew. I know myself. I was obsessed with this game on the Genesis called Erzog 2, which was kind of one of the first MOBA-ish type of games. I mean, it really was ahead of its time. And I even played the hell out of Populous on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Yeah. Dude, I played those games all the time. So when I saw StarCraft, I was like I was watching my friend playing it, and I could just, I could feel it. And I was just like, I need to stay away from this.
Oh, man, I couldn't stay away from it. I played it so much Brood War. Oh, man.
Yeah. But after seeing League of Legends this weekend, I must have made the wrong choice. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, how sick is this? Instead of like the religions, you can pick from like these 3 different, like, I forget what the word for it is actually, but these like big philosophies. That's not the word for it, but that's what they are. One of them is like that you believe that humans should terraform the planets that they go to, and one is that humans should adapt to the planet. And so like if you're adapting, you like have all this genetic engineering, so you like adapt to it. Oh, dude, it's so sick! Oh my god,
that's so cool, dude.
I can't wait. Okay, as you can probably tell, I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be like, sorry, no UltraChen on Tuesdays, and
I mean, like I said, I do have stuff to do this weekend that I can't get out of, so I have to find time.
You have to call Mike Ross and just be like, hey, Mike.
You might be a Mike Ross episode.
Do you wanna do what is it?
Oh yeah, they're called affinities. Thanks.
Oh, affinities. Okay. I would have to call it the Greater Chen or something like that, right?
The Greater Force.
Yeah, that's what it used to be.
I know.
Or Dyna Chen. How's that?
Did you you saw his stream earlier today?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
How was that? I watched only the first few minutes.
He made our stream look really advanced and technical.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be actually a talk show. So like it wasn't what I expected. It was just like him blathering and playing video games. So,
no, I mean,
is cool,
I have a lot of plans for new UltraChen studio and stuff like that, and lots of cool things. So yeah. I don't want to like get into it because I talked about that in January, and obviously I've been so lazy that we've done like nothing. But I swear I will get something set up very soon, and I think there will be some cool stuff that we can do with that. So, yeah, for sure. So it's gonna be kind of hacked together at first, but
that's cool.
It'll grow.
We'll make it work.
It'll grow. So.
We'll make it work.
Yep. Okay.
Also, how sick does that movie Interstellar look? Oh man.
Christopher Nolan, dude. Christopher Nolan. He hasn't like made a bad movie yet, like ever. It's really interesting.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Science and space and stuff. Anyway, I guess that's it. We've been blathering literally for no reason.
I'm
for
really
10 minutes
glad
now.
though that when I mentioned Erzog 2, all these people on the chat were like, "Oh my god, that game was so godlike."
I remember the name, but I don't remember.
Basically, you had a home base on opposite corners and lots of bases in between. You had to build and deploy tanks and turrets and all these things, and like people, you had to deploy soldiers to go into buildings in between to take them over so that you could actually start building from there and stuff like that. But you did it all by controlling a transforming airplane. So basically you had an airplane that picked up things and dropped them down, and you could transform into a robot, run around and shoot the enemy vehicles and like help them and stuff like that. It was so cool. It was such a great game. It was a really,
It sounds interesting,
yeah. It's a really great game, so, but yeah. And it was competitive. You played 2 players.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. And there was actually a flaw in one of the parts. Like, obviously it wasn't, like, super well done and stuff like that, but yeah. There's like, lots of little things that you could take advantage of and stuff, but, oh, the game is so good, dude. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, No Man's Sky also. Oh, man.
Oh, that's that one, like, planet game?
Yeah,
that
the
was
procedurally generated planets. Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. Are we done?
Yeah, I think
rambling?
So. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, go check out The Show That Sucks. Hanzo said that he'll be on time, and if he was, they've already been talking for a little while. Mm-hmm. That's at twitch.tv/iplaywinner. I'm sure they'll have interesting thoughts about who knows what.
Sorry, just responding. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. And
see you next time.
Peace out, everyone. Oh, yeah, and tune in
James only show next week.
Yeah, CPT to CPT Asia if you can stay up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this weekend, twitch.tv/CapcomFighters.
Yep. All right. Peace out, guys.